What's up? It's Tom here reporting at the beach from Gooseberry Falls State Park. Going to talk a little bit about the draft. Certainly not reporting live. You might even not even see this the day I'm recording it, probably. But I wanted to talk about a bit about the draft, and instead of just having you look at my face this whole time, I have some other images to share overlaid over this. So I hope you enjoy those as well. So yeah, obviously the waterfall here is the headline attraction, but Gooseberry Falls State Park, lots of good shoreline as well. Anyway, on to the MLB Draft. It is happening this Saturday. The Twins are picking third, and thankfully this has turned into a three-player draft. So pretty handy. The Twins, conventional wisdom would say they're just going to take the guy that falls in the top three. However, conventional wisdom doesn't always fit the MLB Draft. There's some elements of signing bonus pools and the potential of negotiating deals kind of beforehand, or teams taking the strategy of spreading out their bonus pool. So you kind of sign an underslot guy. So it's not a hard slot. It's not like each one of these picks. It's a predetermined amount of money that player is going to get. And that kind of adds some chaos into the mix. So there is a dollar amount assigned to the pick, but again, that's not necessarily what that player is going to sign for. So there'll be guys who get overslot, there'll be guys who get underslot. But that's usually a better strategy for teams that have the bigger bonus pools, and despite the Twins picking third, there are some teams with bigger pools. It's also, I think, a better strategy to explore if you have like a comp A pick. So there's two comp rounds. These are the competitive balance rounds. One of them at the end of the first round, which is the comp A, and then one of them at the end of the comp B round, which is comp B. If this is all sounding like a foreign language, that's okay. The MLB Draft is pretty strange. Do want to really strongly recommend, if you're interested in this stuff, to start listening to the Destination the Show podcast, which my partner in crime at Limestone Pipeline, Jamie Cameron, co-hosts with Jeremy Nygaard, who's also just a draft guru and has a ton of experience following the draft and prep players. Invaluable, that podcast, if you're interested in this stuff. But and they're actually going to be live streaming the draft as well on Saturday, so check that out on YouTube. Anyway, so again, it's a three-player draft. Yes, Jeremy Zoll is new. And maybe there's something that's going to be a little bit different about how the Twins run, but I wouldn't expect much difference because, again, Sean Johnson, who has been the director of amateur scouting for a bit and has been in the org for a very long time, is still the one and ahead of that team. So, and yes, I am on the beach with my family. They are much more of rock pickers than I am. I can, y'all hang out, look through some stuff, maybe skip some rocks, but then I'm going to be ready to move on to the next thing, and they very much are not. So I figured instead of rushing them through to the next thing, I'd just take a chance to talk some draft. Anyway, again, three-player draft. Interesting that Sean Johnson, as soon as the Twins got the third pick, one of the first things he said was they thought it was a three-player draft, which at the time it looked like a two-player draft with Roch Chowolsky of UCLA and Grady Emerson, a high school Texan. And then it was pretty up for debate who number three was. I think the most popular opinion was that it was going to be Justin LeBron, and he had a bad year. So that kind of created some chaos again at three. But luckily, Vahn Lackey, who was definitely a known draft prospect, a catcher from Georgia Tech, really elevated himself to the point where not only pushing himself up to three, but also the slam dunk three, and it's not really a foregone conclusion he'll be the guy at three. So Roch Chowolsky of UCLA, shortstop, he's been the top dog all the way through this draft cycle, which is very uncommon for somebody to go wire to wire. Typically, either that guy falls back a bit or someone elevates themselves, but you'll find some varying opinions on who is going to go number one, but typically you're going to see Chowolsky on top of draft boards, and it kind of is going to come down to what the White Sox prefer, and if they're going to go with the strategy of maybe trying to get some underslot and push the money around, we'll see. Number two, again, Grady Emerson. He's been at the top all this time as well. really talented Texas shortstop, again, high schooler. So you kind of have two shortstops at the top. You've got the guy, and not only just a college guy, but a guy who's probably not going to need a whole lot of time in the minors in Chowolsky, and then Emerson, who's a high schooler. Those guys are typically going to take longer, but we are seeing some teams get pretty aggressive, with the Pirates promoting Connor Griffin really early in his teens. So, it's not a complete lock that he's going to take like years and years and years either. That's a really good player. And again, Lackey, a catcher, but a guy who hits, a guy who does everything really well, to be honest, has played even third base. So that is kind of an intriguing element to him, and has looked pretty good over there too. So obviously you're taking him hoping he can stay behind the plate, and his defense is well regarded there, but you never know. And yeah, the bat is there as well. It's a very good package. The Twins are getting a really, really good prospect one way or another. There is that chance always that they do try to get cute and try to take somebody outside of this top three. Jackson Flora is the top pitcher in this class. A big guy, has that starting pitching horse of a build and already has a really good repertoire. So somebody's getting a very good pitcher there, and I'm sure they're having many discussions about what they want to do at three. It's not just okay. Well, open and close the book. It's a 3-player draft. We'll just take the third guy. But I would still be surprised if they went outside. They've kind of been in this spot a couple times now where by the time they drafted, Brooks Lee was just the complete obvious guy at that draft class at that point where they got him, and they took him. The year Walker Jenkins was drafted, he was the guy there, complete lock that he was the best player on the board at the time. Everybody believed that, and there was some kind of talk that maybe the Twins would go a different direction, and they didn't. They went with the conventional wisdom. They took Walker Jenkins. So kind of a similar situation here. I would expect the Twins, just to thank their lucky stars that they got to move up in the draft lottery and get into this top three. It's a great situation to be in. Again, there are going to be really good players available after three, but there is definitely a tier of these top three guys. And you can never have enough shortstops. So I might actually prefer Grady Emerson, to be completely honest, because I think he has the highest upside. But it's pretty easy to say that about a high school guy compared to college guys. But something I always kind of cling to is that the best players don't make it to college. If you look at some of the top players across the league right now, or historically, you're going to see mostly guys that were drafted out of high school. And of course, on the flip side, probably the biggest bust that's true of as well. So it's not always going to work out that way. But yeah, if let's just look at Roch Chowolsky. Coming out of high school, he was very well regarded. And guy goes to UCLA. He was a draft prospect. There was a chance that he would get drafted and signed, but instead ended up made sense to go to UCLA, and here he is. But again, if he was a better high school prospect, he would have got taken. He would have signed as a high schooler. So guys improve in college and continue to develop physically and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I'm pretty impressed with Grady Emerson. I'll be happy at anybody that gets to them. This is a no-lose situation, but he is the most exciting one to me. Chowolsky, I think, that's the known product. That's the guy what you're getting from. And again, you can't have too many shortstops. Look at what the Twins have right now. Royce Lewis drafted as a shortstop playing first base. Brooks Lee drafted as a shortstop playing third base. Austin Martin developed as a shortstop playing outfield. Most of the guys are going to end up somewhere else. I do believe in Kalen Culpepper's defense, but he would make a really good third baseman or even second baseman. And if you want him to be an elite defender, that might be the spot outside of there. I think he can be at least league average. I'm kind of high on his defense, so I'm not saying that's not going to work out for him and he's going to end up like Lee, but it wouldn't be the worst thing ever if you have a really good defensive shortstop push him off like Merrick Houston. So yes, the Twins do have a lot of infield right now, but it's not going to ever be a problem. You can always solve that problem by maybe moving someone or there's always injuries too, unfortunately. But yeah, so somebody might be looking at this and looking at the Twins system and being like, "What? Don't we already have a lot of shortstops?" And kind of be more rooting to get Vahn Lackey. I will say the Twins catching in the minors has come miles and miles, and of course part of that is thanks to the trade deadline and getting Eduardo Tait and Enrique Jimenez, who's been really good. Got him from the Tigers, but they also drafted Kadeem Jow. It's not as if the Twins don't have room for more catching, but this is the best catching depth they've had in quite a while. But I mean, you would love to add a Lackey because he would be more of a sure bet to stick behind the plate than like Tait is. And that's not a knock on Tait, 19-year-old guy. There's going to be questions about his defense as a catcher. I don't think you'd have a hard time finding any 19-year-old catcher that's like a slam dunk to stay back there. So. Yeah, Lackey would be a huge boost still. The Swiss system, eventually down the road, you could easily find a scenario in which he and Tait coexist, no problem. Obviously, every team has two catchers and really relies on two catchers. Starting catchers aren't really taking a lion's share these days, especially. That's never really been true, but these days especially, teams seem to like to split. And, again, if both those guys develop offensively, they can DH on their off days. They can play first base on their off days, potentially. Again, Lackey may even be able to play third base on his off days, which would be huge. So, yeah, I mean, you get any of these guys in the system, and it's going to be very exciting, obviously. So, Twins picking third. They do, again, I kind of mentioned some of the things with like the Comp A, Comp B, and some of the ways that things work after that. It kind of rotates, so the Twins had a Comp A pick last year, and they took Riley Quick with that pick. Again, that's a pick toward the end of the first round. This year they have a Comp B pick, so that's a pick at the end of the second round. In between, there's all sorts of weird things with like this player promotion incentives, and also, teams that are higher payroll teams, higher earning teams. They are dinged when they sign a free agent to a big deal, so they lose some picks. It is again a complicated picture when you really get into the order, because it's not just a straight here's 1 through 30 each round. But the Twins are still in position to add a very good player in the second round, since they pick high in the second round, and then a very good player in the Comp B round, and then a very good player in the third round. So this is going to be not just a huge addition at the top of the draft. This is going to be a really good draft that fills out the system. And Baseball America already, in a recent ranking, in a July update, put the Twins as the 7th best minor league system in baseball. So this is already a really strong system that the Twins are going to be adding a very attractive draft class to. And we'll see what happens. Again, Destination the Show, live streaming the draft on YouTube. Going to be great coverage there. They're also, I'm sure, going to have lots of things if you're not really familiar with how the draft works. Lots of good education there. They're going to have some guests, I know, as well. So those guys are the experts. Anyway, just wanted to share some info. I am going to be definitely covering the draft class some, but if you're interested in a deeper conversation, check out Limestone Pipeline. That's me and Jamie Cameron's Patreon project, $4 a month, but you can get 20% off on a yearly subscription. He has big plans to have deep dives on the guys the Twins draft. So if you're looking for, maybe you're not all that interested in the draft as it's happening, but you want to learn about the guys once we know who they are, Jamie's going to be your best resource on that, and especially in terms of getting the context of what this means for the Twins. That's going to be your guy. So, and again, being honest, I'm not on his level on the draft, so that's why I love having that tag team project that we're doing at Limestone Pipeline. We've got a lot of minor league knowledge, a lot of draft knowledge, a lot of amateur ball, so it's been really fun. So check that out. But thanks for checking this one out. We'll talk again soon.